So when all of this is dried here, I will show you close-ups, because the middle color is just glowing, and then you can also see the overlapping colors and the transparency much better up close. So we'll do that at the end. For now, let's focus on these primary color mixing to create a neutral color palette. So how did I stamp this image? So you start by the first color pointing upwards. So basically think of it as a triangle, and obviously you need your ink of choice. You can totally do this with black ink if you prefer, but I like this one here. So think of it that way. So you need to place it depending on how much space you have. Obviously I'm working here with a very small space. If you're working with a bigger page, that doesn't matter as much, but for me to be able to squeeze this in, I need to stamp it in such a manner that I have enough space to put that petal into there and that petal into here without going off the page. So I reckon I should be somewhere here, keeping in mind I need 3 of those. So I should be thinking about that as well, if I have enough space here, hopefully. So next one is going this way. So I'm going to think now of a triangle shape, and it doesn't matter how precise or unprecise you are. It really isn't too important. So there you go, nice and easy and simple. For the next one, I'm going to repeat the same, roughly here. The other thing to mention is that you'll see in this petal you have a more kind of a narrow point and a wider point, like just like an egg, and so the wider point goes to the center. I suppose you could do the other way around as well, but I just prefer it that way. I think it looks neater. Okay, and then my last one, hopefully I can somehow squeeze it in. I should have gone a bit further this way, but that's okay. Actually, here I will have to do the other way around, so I'm going to place my primary at the bottom, and maybe that will give you also a different look. I'm so sorry about all the noise. It was so nice and quiet before I started filming, and literally as I pushed the button to film, to record, it just all gone a bit mad here. But we're having a or neighbours having a little construction, so it's a bit loud today. Okay, so here we go. So you can do it this way as well. All right. Okay, so for this part of the exercise, we will need some sort of mixing tray and clean water. So that's a key. You need to have clean water for this. And I'll start by picking a yellow. And I'm thinking I'll probably just go in the order that I swatched them, so it's nice and clear. But you can obviously, you know, change up and pick whatever yellow you want, with whatever pink, with whatever blue, but just for the sake of the easy exercise. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just color the petal in, just the petal up to the first line. So we're not looking beyond the first line, because the first line will be used to create a neutral, which we will mix in the tray. So that will be a separate thing we do at the end. So here is our yellow. go right up to the edges of the stamped image. Next one is going to be this color here, which is Quinacridone, a red, a light. That's gonna go same thing, just up to the first line. Because otherwise, if I go this way, we'll have less of the pink, but you could use that as a circle if you wanted to. That would be up to you. Okay, so here's our pink. And then the blue is going to be Helio Turquoise. So we're going to Helio Turquoise. Make sure you don't touch anything. Because otherwise it will all flow into one another. Here we go. Alright. So what we're going to do here is we're going to mix up a neutral color. So I'm going to go into the yellow. And obviously that will create a green. But once we add the red, that should neutralize the whole thing. Remember to really wash your brush properly when you're working with staining colors. I think this one was the most staining out of all of them. So now this is a bit too pink, so we just need to work at it and keep on creating colors that we think would work. So a bit more of the Helio Turquoise. Sometimes this takes a little bit of time. Now I quite like this grey tone that I have mixed up, but I will add a touch of yellow into this just to warm it up a little bit, and a touch of red, but this time very, very little. So like that. It just goes so quickly into purple. Okay, so this is a good grey. I'm going to swatch it in the middle. Best thing would be, of course, to wait for it to dry, so that you don't need to worry about touching things, and then you wouldn't have any of these gaps. But you can do it, you know, whichever way you prefer to do it. But I think this grey looks really pretty. Transparent yellow. Then we have Rose Madder. And then finally we have Cobalt Turquoise. So I'll mix up these colors here. So again, yellow and the turquoise immediately becomes a green, and then rose madder should neutralize the whole thing. And you go until you decide that it looks good. So just adjust your recipe by adding bits to it. So if it's too brown, for instance, I'll try to add more of the turquoise. Think of it as just breaking it down into yellow, blue and red, and get it that way. Okay, so more of the turquoise, and now more of the red. Let's do purple. To neutralize that, you need the third color. If that's leaning into green, you need red. If that's too brown, you need blue. Basically until you're happy with the color. So this is a bit on a green side, but I think that will do. So this is going to be a very interesting mix. It's going to do a lot of magical separation because of the cobalt turquoise. Cobalt turquoise is one of the phenomenally important colors when it comes to color mixing. So, in fact, I'll show you what's happening here. You can see the pinks coming through and separating. So it's quite gorgeous. So this is a color I want to keep. So I'm going to use the other side of the tray to mix up this color. So this time I'm going to place the yellow at the bottom, just because the way I stamped it. And some people prefer to have the color wheel not necessarily starting with the yellow. They might start with the red, for instance, but I think it makes more sense to have yellow as your starting point at the top, but you do you. Okay, pink is going to be magenta, so we're going to go, in this case, anti-clockwise. And finally Prussian green. You need very little of the Prussian green because it's super pigmented. You get a lot of color from very tiny bit of the paint. There we go. I bet this is going to give us a lovely neutral. Okay. Oh my god, this is looking so good. We just had the Orthodox Ukrainian Christian Easter, and I painted the eggs in these kind of lovely marble golden colors. but this sort of reminds me of it. The colors, just the happiness of it, you know, color makes you really happy. So, or at least does for me, and I know color is used in therapy as well, so I've read about it many times, how helpful it is. Okay, so we're going in purple, and now we need yellow. So this is too yellow. What I'm gonna do is add a touch more of the Prussian green. Oh, this is too much now. Okay, it's okay if it takes you a while to mix up your color. It's perfectly fine. Now this is it. Okay, I'm not gonna add anything else to it. This is perfect. Really nice. Unfortunately touched here, and so a portion of the color has just really moved into the blue, so we lost the intensity of it. That's another thing why you should either wait until it's fully dry or try your best at not touching neighboring colors, because you don't want to lose the intensity of the colors of the neutral that you have taken so much time mixing up. Mixing pretty neutrals is actually not a too easy job. It takes quite a while, and if you're a beginner, in the beginning it is really easy to just give up, because you look at the color. So you saw how I did it. You put two colors in, it's leaning too much to one of the colors. You put the other one in, it starts to get like a bit of yucky. And then at some point, as a beginner, you don't know where you're going, and you just give up, or you want to give up. And I think the key here is just to persevere and keep on adding bits and bits, and this is how you get to your pretty neutrals. And neutrals are just as beautiful when they're mixed correctly as our gorgeous colorful colors in the palette. Okay, this is it. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will wait for it to dry a little, and then I'll come back and I will show you the close-ups. Before I go, I just want to show you the tray a little, what's going on here. Still lovely separation. It's interesting the yellow is not coming through, but we're having this sort of like a brown, like a burnt sienna, and the turquoise. So this was from transparent yellow, rose madder, and cobalt turquoise. Okay, so I'm running out of patience to wait for them completely to dry, so I think I can show you as they look right now, because they're super gorgeous. So let's start with this page that we did beforehand. If you look at the middle color right here, you'll see that it's just like super beautiful, and all the colors have been super transparent, because you can see through them. You can still see on some areas where it has been 2 or 3 colors overlapping, you can still see the orange here, you can still see the geranium red, etc. So not one of the colors here has created like a full opacity, and so that resulted in a very kind of punchy and beautiful and vibrant transparent center, that although it has the transparency and doesn't have the heavy load of opacity, it still, however, packs a punch of color, and that gives you to show the quality of the paint. So yeah, it's quite useful to do this sort of petal exercise in many ways. Moving on to this page with lovely bright colors and the neutrals that we have mixed. I mean, immediately looking at these colors, you can see that you can create super stunning grays. I am all for beautiful grays. My favorite, always, like for years and years since I even began this channel, was Payne's Grey. When I tried Payne's Grey for the first time, it was actually Daniel Smith, a Payne's Grey. I absolutely fell in love with that color, and that was a good 4 to 5 years ago. And yeah, so basically any gray that kind of goes within that Payne's gray color with that slight pinky bluey kind of undertone, I absolutely adore. This is a good mix here, very kind of close to it, and so was this one, but it has paled out. Oh no, it was so perfect. It has paled out a little bit, so, and that's why you can't see it anymore. Just tried to rescue this swatch. It was perfect, and then I had to stick my finger into it. Anyway, I'll have to I'll have to put up with that. The most color that stands out to me personally is this one here when it comes to neutral mixes that we've done here. I mean, it just goes to show the importance of Cobalt Turquoise. Cobalt Turquoise is one of the most important colors that you could have in your palette. There are a few others that would create most stunning and interesting mixes, and yeah, it's this is what watercolor magic is all about, this type of a mix. So I'll bring you in a bit closer and show you all these gorgeous mixes. So I hope you found some, you know, inspiration from this video, how to use your swatch joy set if you already have it, and if not, like I said, they're available on Alyona Creates Etsy. If you're new to these stamp sets, I'll try to link a couple of videos. Otherwise, I can just quickly tell you that there is also this swatching element here, which is great for introducing new colors or studying new colors that you buy, or even go through your entire collection and pick out some colors that you want to give a bit of an in-depth look into. And you got the date, which I actually stamped right here to keep it in your diary, and then pigment, light fastness, transparency, granulation, all that jazz that can go into here. You can just stamp it and give all the info and keep all the info in one place. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.